listening to India Chalo, a podcast where travelers relive their journeys across India. From the Himachali orchids and the majestic glaciers, the glittering Konkan coast and the Western Ghats, and everything that comes in between. The India Chalo podcast is here to uncover it all for you and give you, our listeners, a sneak peek into what India has to offer for your next trip. Stay tuned. Hello there, fellow travelers. Namaste and welcome to a brand new episode of the India Chalo podcast. I'm your host, Rohan. I'm so excited that you all are here. Today, we are visiting another destination in the heart of Himachal. We are visiting and taking you to Dharamkot, which is a quaint little town that's near McLeodganj, which is one of the most popular destinations in Himachal. And Dharamkot is slowly getting there in terms of the popularity and in terms of what travelers seek when they go to Himachal. So we talk about Dharamkot and all the activities that you could do there, from treks, from waterfalls, from nearby cities that you can visit, from all the cafes, the good food and the wonderful people that you would encounter on this particular trip. My guest in this episode is Malay Warankar. Something about him is he has been an avid traveler for the past 8 years. He has a lot of experiences under his belt. And it was so great talking to him about his trip, and you could see the passion when he talked about Dharamkot and his experience there, because he went there for 2 days and then he ended up staying there for 2 months, and that was evident in the way he was talking about Dharamkot. He has covered most of India in the past 8 years, and Himachal has been his go-to place to travel. He has a dream to travel at least to 100 countries in the near future. So you can be sure that you are in safe hands with Malay Warankar, and you can reach out to him on Instagram at The Mountain Guy. We'll link it in the show notes for this episode. And without further ado, here's Malay Warankar. I am here with Malay Warankar. Malay, welcome to the India Chalo podcast. I'm so excited that you're here and looking forward to discussing your experiences in India on this episode with you.
Hi, Rohan. It's lovely to be here with you, and it's good to talk about travel and what I do, and some of my passion things with you. So that's a great opportunity. Thank you, Rohan, for having me here.
Absolutely. Great to have you. So before we begin, I would have introduced you before our interview begins. But in your own words, why don't you describe where you're from, what do you do, and what made you travel within India, and what made you more passionate about travel?
Yeah, surely. So, Rohan, I'm from a small city called Nasik. It's quite near to Mumbai. I shifted here around 7-8 years back in 2014, and I was like, this is a new city, and there was nothing to do more. So once a time when I had few of the days off, I planned to travel solo.
Yeah,
I had nothing in my mind, and it was just a random plan. I booked a trek in Himachal. It's called a Chandrakani Pass, and that was the beginning of my travel in India. So I went to Himachal, made new friends, and that was the experience I always wanted to have. So from that time, from last 8 years, I have been traveling a lot to different places, solo with friends on motorcycle, and it has been a lovely journey. Traveling gives you that adrenaline rush you need from your hectic schedule. And it's lovely to meet new people, make new friends, know new things, try new cousins. So that's how I started traveling. And now I've been traveled a lot in India and outside.
That's amazing. So you're a true a serial traveler, so to say. When people talk
you
about
can say that.
When people talk about all the experiences they have across India, you have 8 years of experience behind you. So you must have some
yes.
And looking forward to dive into them with you. So, Malay, tell us, what place are we talking about in this episode? Where are you taking us to today?
Sure. So I have traveled to most of the states in India, but Himachal Pradesh got it have my heart. It's a lovely place. I started my journey with that place, and I would like to take you to a destination which I discovered 1 year back.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Dharamkot. So if you want, I can just give you how I planned for the destination. So it was a random plan. I was here with my buddies one night. We were just chilling, and we were thinking that is Saturday, Sunday, let's go out to Lonavala. And one of my friends, she's mentioned no, let's try something far. So out of nowhere, we type Himachal and search for a place which is very less unexplored. And Dharamkot name came to my search box. It was like 10 minutes plan. We booked like a hostel there, and we booked a flight till Chandigarh, and we just went. We had nothing in our mind about how the place would be.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be a really amazing place. It's a small village above McLeodganj, if you know. It's like a Dharamshala, then there's McLeodganj, and there's Dharamkot. So it's like 2 kilometers from McLeodganj. It's a lovely place with very less people. I guess if you mean very less people, is like not more than 150 people. It's so small. It's so distributed in two parts. It's like Upper Dharamkot and Lower Dharamkot. Lower is all commercial with families, and upper is a bit tough to go because the roads are good, but if not for the regular person to go there, you need trekking and all that thing. So it's a beautiful small place in the heart of the mountains, and that the hostel I stayed is the last place at that place, and there are small cafes. There are good treks there, and I guess we can take more. I can tell you more about as we go ahead in the episode.
Absolutely. So that's a wonderful description you gave of Dharamkot. It's a small, quaint village, and there are a lot of treks and different activities. So can't wait to dive into that.
Yes.
But tell us, what time of the year did you visit, and how was the weather there? And what would you recommend travelers? Which time of the year should they visit Dharamkot?
So I have visited it in all the time, like all the seasons. So the first one when I went was around August.
Okay.
And it was when I went there, it was quite cold. It was around 4-5 degrees and quite pleasant.
Okay.
I guess most of the country was facing rains that time, and the city there was quite pleasant. The next time I went there was in the month of December.
Okay.
December, January, such time, and it was quite cold. It was around -5 to -1, and you need to wear hot clothes, but it's quite good because it doesn't snow that much in that particular place, but it's quite cold. The air is strong, but it's lovely. And I guess I would recommend your audience to visit that place in somewhere around November, because that's the most pleasant time you should visit that place.
So is it a mix of summer and a bit of winter? Is that the idea when it's transitioning between?
Not summer, basically. It's like spring and winter. So basically, it started getting cold, but not that cold that you can't survive. So November time is something I should recommend.
Got it. And what is the peak travel season, if you know, when you visited and there were a lot of travelers around? Was it November as well, or do travelers visit around August or December?
So I like to visit when there is very less crowd. So the traveling season starts from March, because when we have a lot of summer and a lot of sun in the other parts of India, people try to travel to Himachal to get some relief. So most of the travel will start coming in after March till the rain starts, right?
Got it.
But for me, it was like winter, because I wanted to explore the place without having many people there.
Wonderful. Okay. So let's get started into the itinerary and dive a bit deeper into it. So you mentioned you took a flight to Chandigarh, and tell us about your journey after that. So from Chandigarh, what did you take? Did you take a bus or a taxi to Dharamkot? And how do you reach there?
So there are two ways. If you're coming from the other part of India, it's either Delhi or Chandigarh. And the third one, if you can spend more, is Dharamshala Airport.
Okay.
But I can give you a disclaimer that Dharamshala Airport doesn't operate in winter, and like it doesn't operate every day. There are flight delays and the weather things because of visibility. But the safest bet would be Chandigarh, which is around 6 hours from Dharamshala.
Okay.
So either you take a bus, or I took a bus one time and I took a cab the second time. So by cab, it takes around 4,000 to 5,000 for 4 people till Dharamshala or McLeodganj, depends on the driver, because the roads above McLeodganj are only meant for the Himachali drivers. Period. Yeah. So if you are a driver from outside, I would recommend that don't take the drivers, because the roads are quite risky.
Okay.
They are good, but it's better not to. Secondly, if you take a bus from Chandigarh, it's quite a good journey. The bus will drop you in 6 hours to Dharamshala. From Dharamshala, you can take a cab. They have cabs to Dharamkot. It's just $400 for a whole cab. So you can like go 1 person or 4 person. And it's quite comfortable going there. Now that Dharamshala have the ropeway, which has they introduced a ropeway. So I guess there is an option for the ropeway till McLeodganj, but from McLeodganj, you still need to take a vehicle till Dharamkot.
Got it. Okay.
It's not very much, but it's quite steep. So trekking is suggested, but I guess it's not a cup of tea for everyone.
Understand. And are these taxis easily available from Chandigarh airport?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and
So
what
it's
you
a taxi union thing, and they don't bargain much. It's around 400 straight rates there.
Okay, okay. There's straight rates. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So let's talk about Dharamkot now. When you went that, walk us through an itinerary. So you went for the weekend. So tell us about what you did on both days and what would you recommend
Yeah.
travelers do when they visit there in terms of treks, in terms of activities, and so on.
hmm So I went there for 2 days, but I stayed there for 2 months. So that's how
Wow.
it happened.
Okay.
Because I worked from home and the place was good.
Wow.
So I'll recommend few things. Is Dharamkot is a place where you can like feel your soul. It's so relaxing.
Wow.
The mountains are green. The air is fresh. There are very cute cafes nearby. So okay, so I'll come to the itinerary first. So there are places so the most famous place from Dharamkot is called Triun Trek.
Okay.
It's one of the most famous trek. It takes around 2 hours to reach 2 to 3 hours to reach Triun. If you are an avid trekker, if you are a newbie or just learning, it would take 3 to 4 hours. But it's wonderful. And if you have more of the trekking things, then there are many more treks ahead of it, which is called snow line.
Okay.
And that's where the slow line starts, and you can see the whole of the place from that
Wonderful.
place. You can do tent. You have get tents there. You can stay there and chill for a day and just come back the next day. There's a disclaimer that in the rainy season, if you want to go for a trek, just be aware because the roads are quite steep. So while coming back, they are quite slippery.
Okay.
My suggestion would be take a guide because the roads, you may get lost in the roads. There are a lot of woods, a lot of jungle, and it leads to some other part of the mountain. So be safe, but it's a good place to go around.
Okay. Okay.
Secondly, so there are few cafes, vegan cafes. If you are a vegan person, there are few vegan cafes. I won't name them, but if you can explore the vegan cafes, they are lovely. The Lower Dharamkot has very cute cafes.
Okay.
They have live music and a lot of hippies and a lot of people from different countries come together and create their own music. It's lovely to be there in the evening time.
Got it. Okay. So what made you stay in Dharamkot for 2 months? Tell us more about what made you stay for.
Yeah. So I guess the vibe of the place, the people. So the place where I stayed was a hostel. And the hostels, you share your bunk with a lot of people. So you meet a lot of people of the same mindset. And that tends to, you have a bond with people. And then you try to explore places with them. They share their stories, you share your stories, and that's how you gel together. And I guess that was one of the factors which made me stay there. The second one was the nature. Mm-hmm. It was lovely. You can just walk around the small, tiny village in the mountains and go to the different part of the mountain, trek, go down to the city, or just sit on a stone and just relax. You can see the whole view. You can see Dharamsala Stadium from there, right? It's
wow.
Beautiful view. Yeah. So that were few of the things which made me stay at that place. It's just the vibes and I guess the nature. I can put it in 2 words.
Wonderful. Okay, coming back to the itinerary, tell us more about what other treks are available. You mentioned Triun Trek, but are there any other treks that you can take from Dharamkot?
So Triun is a start. So it's the smallest trek. After that, you have a snow line, which is one more trek. It's like double the length of Triun. And there is one more trek. I'll just get the name. I'm not sure. But it's a lovely trek. It's only for the people who are trekking regularly because you go to a height which not everyone is comfortable with, right? So I can just tell just snowline. There are treks which I haven't been, so I guess I won't answer that.
All right.
There is a beautiful place called Baksu Waterfall. So that's also quite a trek. Not a trek, but you need to go through the mountains to a waterfall. Beautiful place.
Wonderful. And is that how near is that to Dharamkot? From where you stay?
It's 2 kilometers. The Baksu waterfall. It's quite good. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Yeah. So what else could travelers expect to do there in your idea?
So I guess third thing I would suggest them is to try the cafes. So there are a few cafes like Sunset Cafe. It's around 1 hour trek from Dharamkot. It's on the other way of Triun, where it's a cafe on the top of the mountain, and you will see you are above the clouds there, and you see good sunset. Sunset is beautiful, I tell you. Any part of the town you go, sunset is most beautiful thing. Cafe hopping would be the best thing you can do. There are a lot of good bakeries, a lot of South Indian places. So there are a few cafes like Cafe Mowgli. It's a South Indian joint started by my friend when I was there with him.
Oh wow,
And it's a
amazing.
lovely place. Yeah. So that is one place. Then there are a lot of cafes like Om Cafe. So these cafes are quite, they have so the food is like normal. The food is not very different, but the vibes, the people, I guess that is quite different. There are a few vegan cafes for people who have that taste, and that's how we sum it up. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing, there are good places in McLeodganj. So there is a place called Dal Lake. It's not the one from Kashmir. It's from
Right.
McLeodganj. It's a beautiful place similar to Dal Lake. And there are a few more places like monasteries around the place, tea gardens, if you want to, extend your stay and just go around on the route of Palampur. So there are a lot of good tea gardens. In most of the evenings, these guys have Indian, musical cultural fest where they, different people from different part of the place come together with different instrument and try to create a music. So this is very common in this place, and every night you'll find such kind of thing in the town. It's
Amazing.
very happening.
That's an amazing mix of itinerary with a lot of diverse
Yes.
for everyone.
Yes.
Now, one question I have, Malay, is when I went to bird billing, which is near Dharamsala,
Yes.
October, and a lot of the people there and a lot of activities there were inspired by Tibetan culture, whether it be the
Yes.
food or monastery. Is it the same thing in Dharamkot as well?
So Dharamkot will find a lot of monks around, but it's not much influenced by the Tibetan culture, because Dharamkot is mostly influenced by the local Himachali culture.
Okay.
You'll find a lot of locals and people. They are really good as compared to, if you compare that with beer billing, it's quite different. Beer billing has a lot of Tibetan culture influence. It's very beautiful. I would say I have just been there 2 months back.
Okay.
But Dharamkot is a different experience in itself.
Okay, great. So coming to transportation, you mentioned from Chandigarh you can get a taxi or a bus, or let's say you go visit Dharamkot. But when you're in Dharamkot, how do you travel between places? Like, because you mentioned it's a small town, is it like a walking distance, or what sort of options are available there?
So you can walk down till McLeodganj. It's like a half-hour trek down. Not a trek, but a kind of a semi-trek. But I guess I would suggest the option of getting a scooty or a two-wheeler. It's the best option you can have, because scooties and bikes are available in cheap rate there, and you can just take it and go around the places. There are a lot of good places in the 20-kilometer radius of the city.
Understand. Okay, great. So in terms of other activities that you could do, let's say if you set up camp in Dharamkot, you mentioned treks, you mentioned McLeodganj. Yes. Are there any other villages nearby Dharamkot that you can explore if you're staying there for a long time and want to go on a day trip, let's say?
You can try. So basically, most of the people from Dharamkot, so there's nothing else around the Dharamkot. This is the last village on the mountain. Okay. Above that, there is treks and snow and mountains. There's nothing else. But you can go. So most of the people try and go to Palampur or Bir Biling, which is the nearest place.
Yeah.
Or Dalhousie, which is a bit far, but that's the only places they have. Other than that, you have McLeodganj and Dharamshala.
Okay.
And this is the only place which are nearby.
Okay, great. So you can, a traveler can essentially combine, let's say, Dharamkot with Dharamshala, Bir Biling, Palampur.
Yes. Perfectly. Yes.
Absolutely, great.
I would give a disclaimer if people want to visit Dharamkot is don't take their personal vehicle to Dharamkot.
Okay.
Basically cars, because the roads are very tough for a new rider. Bikes are fine. Second, there is no parking space because it's a mountain and people have their own personal parkings. Thirdly, it's risky. So just park. So there are good pay and parks in McLeodganj. Park your vehicle there and take a cab. That would be my suggestion to everyone who is willing to go there. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Malay, you mentioned that Dharamkot is a small town with about 100-150 people. Any fun experiences or memorable insights that you have with the people there in your interactions or during a journey that you like to share with the travelers?
Let me think of something. So I have been at this place for 2 days, like I mentioned. Yeah. And after the stay for 2 days, there are a lot of people I met on the way. So there were people from different parts of this country who are staying there from like last 6 months, 1 year. And I always thought of why would someone stay there for so long? It's a question, right? You can just go around any place you want. Why Dharamkot? So most of them answer that it's a place whenever you wake up in the morning, you feel so fresh. going around. People are quite good. Place is so good, and it's not that expensive for people traveling there. So I guess so. Most of my experience with people were very positive about this place, and whenever I wanted the help from the local villagers for anything, people just came and help us. One of the incidents which I had was me and my colleague who had a cafe there called Mowgli. He was looking for a place, and we were just talking to one of the owners there. And when we had a chat with him, the guy simply mentioned that I can give you my place because I feel you're the right person. I don't need anyone else to get it because I don't want money. It's just the right person for me to give my place. So people there just need a good vibe from you. They don't need money. They don't need anything else. They are very much grounded, and that's something I liked about the place.
Amazing. That's such a good story. And I think that gives comfort to anyone who's looking to travel there solo and make new friends. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
So, Malay, tell us about the budget that you would expect someone to go to Dharamkot for, let's say 2 days, and then combine that with other places around Himachal that we talked about. How much would you estimate a traveler to keep aside for this trip?
So I do a lot of budget trips most of the time because I travel a lot. If you're traveling from somewhere around Mumbai, Bangalore, or other parts of the country, I guess flight would be one of the most expensive thing you'll have.
Yeah.
Other than that, travel is quite cheaper. So if I can just distribute things, is like you take around 5 to 6 thousand for a return flight from Mumbai.
Okay.
Apart from that, traveling to Dharamkot is not that expensive if you take a public transport. Like they have good Volvos which take around 1,000 rupees per ride.
Yeah.
So basically, Chandigarh to Dharamshala will get around 1,000 rupees and 400 for the cab till Dharamkot. If you're staying in a hostel, it's quite cheaper. It's like 400 to 500 bucks per night per bed, which is not that bad for travelers.
Yeah.
Food is not that expensive. If you go to fancy places in McLeodganj, like the Jimmy's cafes and all, they are a bit expensive. But if you go to regular places, it's quite cheap. So on an estimate for a trip of 4 days with flights and everything included, I'll estimate something around 15 to 20,000.
Okay, that's quite in the
Yeah,
budget of a budget traveler or someone who's looking for a cheap trip.
Yes.
So that's great.
Yes.
Awesome. So, Malay, this is a rapid fire round for you. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions and let our listeners know more about you. First is, what are the top? We talked about a bit of what you could do in Dharamkot. A lot of things from treks, activities to cafes. Tell us the top 3 things that on your mind are something that travelers cannot miss.
Okay. Trek to Trion.
Okay.
Visiting Sunset Cafe and visiting Dal Lake.
Awesome. Great. Second question is, as a traveler, what do you prefer, beach or a mountain?
Mountain always.
Okay, awesome. I think that's a given because we're talking about Dharamkot.
Yes.
Okay, how about exploring a city versus exploring, let's say, a countryside?
Hands down countryside.
Awesome, great. And your favorite food when you visit somewhere, when you travel somewhere, what's your go-to food, comfort food that reminds you of home?
I guess the pakoras and Maggi.
Oh, wow, amazing.
It's available everywhere, right, in India.
Yeah. I think you hit a chord because that's a popular food when anyone visits North India as well. So that's kind of
Yes.
Great, awesome. So Malay, Dharamkot is in Himachal, which is quite an altitude when someone visits from the city. So any advice you have for travelers that they could keep in mind when traveling to Dharamkot?
Not as such. It's not that high that you'll have issues with your like oxygen issues or other things.
Yeah.
I guess I'll recommend if you're traveling in winter, you should pack up with good clothes. And the most important thing is shoe. Get a good sports shoes with a grip because the place is on altitude and you need to trek a bit.
Yeah.
Not much a bit, but yeah, have a good shoe. And one more disclaimer: if you are going to the Dharamkot, you should love dogs because there are a lot of huge dogs. They are very friendly, but I guess some people have that fear, right? But it's a good place to go.
All right. I think we've sent the dog lovers up to Himachal.
Yes.
Awesome. So Malay, where are you traveling next? Tell us about your future plans and where you planning to go next.
So I just came from Brazil. So I visited Sao Paulo and Rio.
Yeah.
Before that, 15 to 20 days back, I was in Himachal.
Okay.
I did beer billing, Tirthan and Jibbi. maybe in some other episode of yours, I can
Absolutely,
give
absolutely.
give
Yeah,
the crowd more about what I've traveled with. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
In
Would love to
future,
have.
I'm planning to travel Himachal one more time in the coming months. I'm not sure where, but I'll just keep you in loop for that.
Wonderful. I think you'll be the ambassador for Himachal on the India Chalo podcast. So super excited.
I would love to. I love to. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Malay, where can travelers keep up with your adventures going forward and keep in touch with you if they have any follow ups on this conversation?
I guess Instagram is the best channel they can connect with me.
Yeah.
If they want to know more about the places, I can give you my Insta ID. You can just put it up with your.
Absolutely. We'll put it in the show notes.
Viewers, yeah.
And anyone can contact you.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah, perfect. So, Malay, thanks so much for coming on the India Chalo podcast. It was such a wonderful conversation to know more about your experience in Dharamkot and your love for travel, your passion for travel. And I'm sure our listeners resonated with it, and really grateful and appreciate you for coming on the podcast and sharing your experiences.
I guess thank you, Rohan, for giving me an opportunity to present myself in front of your audience. And if people would love what I have been traveling, just that would be a great thing. And I hope more people go to such an explored places and help people out there to increase their economy and how they should go.
Absolutely, very well said. Thank you so much, Malay, and hope to see you again soon for another episode.
Yes,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Rohan.
Thanks so much. If you enjoyed my conversation with Malay, do let us know. We are on Instagram @India Chalo. Tag us in your Dharamkot stories. Tell us about your experiences in Dharamkot. Tell us what resonated with the conversation with Malay. And tell us if you're planning to go to Dharamkot next. We love to talk travel all day, every day. And we love to hear experiences from travelers in their journeys across India. So let us know. We are also on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and do leave us a rating there. It helps us continue this mission of the India Chalo podcast and reach as many travelers as we possibly can. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the India Chalo podcast. Stay tuned.